How you doing?
I'm good. You left a message at 8010 Maddie Lane.
Yeah, and I was checking to see. Sorry, I had totally forgot to call you back. I mean, call you.
Uh-huh.
I usually like write down all my addresses while I'm doing Amazon
Uh-huh.
that are listed, or even homes that I see that are vacant.
Uh-huh.
And I had forgotten to give you a call.
That's okay.
But I was calling to see if I was talking to him about an offer. And so what it would be is I would pretty much be taking over his mortgage payments. I would make sure that I paid your commission and paid the closing costs and gave him a down payment on the equity that he has. And then just pay the rest of it over time.
How much time?
Usually what I do is I amortize it for 30 years because depending on what the mortgage payment is, plus the money to him, that's what I would be using to pay as from the rentals on that. But I usually will, balloon it like 7 years, 7 to 10 years. And whatever's remaining at that time, then he gets that in his pocket.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so he would be getting mailbox money.
Okay, so he would be getting a lot less for it.
How?
Or are you doing the 385?
So, yeah, so with 385, if someone were to come in traditionally, he'd have to pay your fee, especially if there's a buyer's agent, he would have to pay that fee, so 6% plus the closing. So that money comes off of the purchase price, right? And then you subtract the mortgage and that's what he ends up in his pocket. So he didn't really know how much the mortgage was, the balance right now or the PITI. And we were just talking numbers and he was like, well, what if my mortgage was at 250 and you have it at 385, right? So what I did was I did some subtracting. I was like, well, if it's a traditional loan and you have 250, you subtract your agent fee and the closing cost, but I only did a 3%, and it came out to like 1925. So I did 1925 minus the 385, which gave me a balance, and then I subtracted the 250, and that was like 115,750. So if it were a traditional home buyer, a homestead buyer, he would end up getting $115,750. Right? So, and he would get that on the spot. But since he's got 2 payments coming out right now, we could get this done in 3 days. We'd still go through title. And what I suggested was, well, that 115, we would add it on top of whatever the mortgage is, and that would be the purchase price. So I think it was like 365. But I don't add the commission and the agent fee into the purchase price because I'm paying it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Traditional, you have to do it that way because, the bank loan is paying for it. But since I'm paying for it, you know,
So you said you would balloon it, and in 7 years you have to take it over.
well, the loan stays in place. We just pay him out the rest of the equity because what it is he doesn't know offhand what his interest rate is, but what's of value right now is those low interest rates that everybody has.
Yeah, his rate is low.
Yeah, if you go in somebody traditionally, they're going to get anywhere from, depending on what their credit is, they're going to get anywhere from a 6.5 to 8% interest rate to take over a 2 to 4.
Right.
And who's making money on that? The bank with all their fees. So it's like, why go through the bank to do all that? And investors can't put bank loans in LLCs. And even if a regular investor who's not into doing stuff creatively, if they go and get loans, they can only get 10 to 12 loans in their name. And then the bank cuts them off.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to build a huge portfolio, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the bank allows, I think, 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we keep them long term. If something like were not to happen, but let's just say, okay, this isn't cash flowing in for me anymore, I'm just going to sell it, then I would just sell it on the market. And then at that point, that's when his bank loan would get paid off. So let's say it took 15 years before it didn't cash flow anymore. Then I would
Mm-hmm.
just sell it. And that's how he would get, his bank loan paid off.
And what about if, let's just say, you didn't pay it for some reason?
Yeah. So let's say I didn't pay his loan or I didn't pay him on his equity, right? What we do is we put something in the contract to where if in 60 days, because sometimes bank loans sell bank loans and they don't send a letter. So we're still sending it to the original holder of the note.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we're getting and this has happened, where we'll get an email or a phone call from the seller say, hey, you haven't paid on the loan, what's going on? And we go and we check and we didn't get notice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we say 60 days, because usually that happens in 30 days.
Okay.
Right? So if in case something were to happen, let's say I get in an accident, knock on wood, but let's say my kids don't want to deal with rentals and all that stuff. We would take and call him first and say, hey, we're possibly going to be selling the house, but we want to give you first option. Do you want to keep the house and then just resell it and double dip?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you like us to just sell the house? But that's what would happen if something were to happen to you. But if I take and don't pay the loan, then he would definitely get the house back.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, he can just double dip and resell it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I told them about those unconventional ways too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have gotten some of those offers, but
Okay.
I've gotten several. But we've kind of said, no, not yet. I mean, we've been in the market a little over a month. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking about maybe having a lender buy down a rate,
Mm-hmm.
for something. So I think we would try that before we do this.
So buying down the rate, is he going to have to come out of pocket for that?
No, the lender would do that.
But you have
And
you have to pay money to buy down the points.
Right. So
Because I know I see a lot of listings to where, it says seller will offer, money to buy down the points.
Yeah, I also had a lender offer to buy down the points
Mm-hmm.
to you, but I didn't. But now I'm starting to think, well, maybe that's a good idea because the rates are high, and that's one of the reasons some people aren't buying at this price point, because the payments are high.
Yeah, those interest rates just, they kill it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have an agent who called me. Was that yesterday or was that the day before? She called me this situation's a little different, but she has a house in Seguin. They're getting a divorce. They just bought it 2 years ago. It is a VA loan. It's got 4.74%, but there's like no equity in it at all. But the other issue is it's $3,100 a month. It's yeah. So I'm like,
it's a big house.
it was, let me see, where did I write it down? I think it was like where did I put it? I wrote it here somewhere. It's like a 4.3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brand new house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, and she was like, he bought it for too much.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. And so she thought of me because I was trying to purchase another house that she had listed. That one was a totally different story. We were going to try and do a short sale on that one because it was a reverse mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
and the people owed 300,000 on that, or the lady owed 300,000, and she's like in her 70s, and her son moved her into an apartment, and it's got like 2 homes on the property, so and just too much for her. So the reverse mortgage was 300,000, but it needed a lot of rehab. So it was like, it's not worth 300,000. So we were going to try and do it, but somebody went and bought it for 305 or something like that. So I'm like, that's good, but we were only thinking of doing the reverse mortgage because yes, it does bring down your credit like 150, 300 points. But we were both like, she's in her 70s, she's already in an apartment, you know, credit's not like, I need to get my credit up like we're in the 30s or our 40s. We need to have our credit. So, but yeah, I just try and help people figure out problems and, you know, purchase their homes. And I know he has 2 mortgages now that he's paying on now.
Yeah.
So this just gets him out of it.
Right. Okay, well, we will let you know if we decide to go that route.
Okay, and I just asked him if he could find his mortgage statement. I could definitely give you a lot better clue as to what the numbers are.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Let's see what happens with that one. Ooh, I don't know. I thought I explained it pretty well. He sounded like he was for it. She sounded a little hesitant. She said she was getting offers like this, but he hasn't heard of any offers like this. So she just wasn't presenting them. Granted, yes, the house is up there for 37 days, but he's making 2 payments on 2 different properties, and he's already moved. So, let's see what happens. Give me feedback. I'm going to post this.